What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. In this episode we're going to be installing my Android head unit into my E46 BMW M3, and I also got me some grill inserts because I really like the way that looks. Picked me up a set of those pretty cheap for about 18 bucks. So I'm going to be installing those on the grill first, and then we'll be installing this, I guess you call it a Onan, is how you pronounce that? An Onan head unit, and this is an Android version 10. It's got the 9-inch screen. It comes with all the adapters in order to make it work with this chassis. And the cool thing about this head unit is it utilizes the factory mounts in the dash. So you don't need a factory dash adapter with all those brackets and whatnot. And it's pretty cool. It provides everything you basically need. It has the sub harness that connects to the factory harness, which connects to this head unit. It has this CAN bus decoder that goes with it, so it can make it all work with the factory settings on the car. And also comes with a Wi-Fi antenna, a GPS antenna, and a whole bunch of other little things in case you want to add more to the system. But for me, I'm basically looking for just a solid setup with the factory speakers and whatnot. So I'm not trying to run any, big bass subs in the car or whatnot. I just need something to entertain me in between when I'm sitting in the car, chilling in traffic or whatnot. And cool thing about this, it's an Android tablet basically that mounts in your car, and you can do everything that you can do possibly on your smartphone on this thing right here. And I thought that was very cool indeed. Now I think I paid about $250 for this head unit, and for what you get for the price, you can't beat it. I'll leave a link in the description of where I got this, so if you guys are interested in getting one of these for your BMW, check out the link and it'll be right there. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and install these inserts, and then we'll be moving on to the head unit as well. So now we're going to be moving on to installing the Android head unit into the car, and basically they have an instruction manual that comes along with it for the BMW 3 Series specifically, and it has nice detailed photos on step-by-step how to do it. I like that indeed. I don't like, a whole bunch of words whenever you're trying to read through instructions, and having nice detailed photos definitely speeds up the process. So these guys did a great job with this kit. So I do have to remove some of the trim pieces in order to install it, and they also included a little trim piece tool. So it's a pretty good complete kit for the price. I mean, I'm very impressed with it. So I'm going to rig up the camera in the car so that you guys can get a good angle on how to install it, but I'll be time-lapsing most of this, and I'll put in some text steps along the way, and then once we get it in and installed, I'll talk about any problems that I had along the way, and we'll power it on and go through the features and see how it is in the end. So here's the factory harness that connects to the stereo, and looking at the connector type right there, they supply 2 sub harnesses with the kit, and this looks like it is the connector it needs. And if you notice the little tabs right there, this has a sliding lock that locks the connector together, and the connector on this has them, so that's good. And this is your CAN bus decoder, and I believe that this connects to this white connector here. This is the other sub harness they give you, so I'm guessing that other BMWs have different type of connectors depending on what kind of stereo system you have. So we'll be utilizing this sub harness with that CAN bus decoder, and just wanted to point that out to you guys real quick to show you what was included in the kit. But we need to remove the trim pieces in order to gain full access of this area here, and then we'll start installing it. And also the A-pillar has to come off as well. You have this little insert right here. This has to come out, and then you have fasteners that you bolt, and then that allows you to take the trim piece off. We're going to be routing the microphone, the Wi-Fi antenna, and the GPS antenna all through the A-pillar so that it's nice and concealed. So that's what we're up against. I'm going to go ahead and mount this up, and we're going to start the process. So kick back, relax, and enjoy. So you got to be careful whenever you're taking the A-pillar trim pieces apart, because you know it's a 2002 model vehicle and the plastic gets a little brittle. I did break a couple little tabs off trying to get it off, and Eric's using some epoxy just to reinforce the bases on that. And I did crack this piece right here, which he already epoxied, so repairing the damage that was done so that it'll be nice and cured up by the time I'm ready to install it. But for the A-pillar, we have this mic right here. That's gonna go in the A-pillar. Wi-Fi antenna will go in the A-pillar, and GPS antenna as well. Basically, the Wi-Fi antenna, they have a space in between right here for the brackets, and it fits nice and neat without having to use the tape. You could just put it in between right there, and it holds in place just fine. That's where I'm going to mount the Wi-Fi antenna. The GPS antenna is going to sit right here at the base on top of the dash. So you have to take this trim piece apart as well. And also on the bottom, this under tray, I'm going to take that out as well so that I can route the cabling through the side in between this trim piece here for the door sill. And it's going to go underneath right there and feed through on this side right here into this little space so that we can mount it up onto the dash unit itself, and that will give us a nice clean look and it'll be all concealed. So I'm going to take the time now and take this trim cover off the bottom, get all those routed up, put in place, and I will show you guys what it looks like in the end as far as my cable routing goes. Alright, so I got the microphone mounted here. The wire feeds through the clips where the factory harness goes. Here's the Wi-Fi antenna. Here's the GPS antenna. I decided to tuck the GPS antenna in that corner there, and that way it's concealed with everything else. And once I put the trim on, it feeds down right here through the side, goes through the back of the dash. You can see it passing through right here. And once I have the cover plate on, it's going to cover it all up. And it comes out through the side right here. And there's the Wi-Fi antenna, GPS antenna, and the microphone. So we're pretty much set now to install the actual head unit. So I'll put this camera back up on the mount and we will continue on. Okay, so one thing I forgot to do to make this head unit fit, you have to trim each corner in order for it to be able to fit in there. And I took a razor knife and I cut the top layer off of each side, exposing just the plastic backing. I have my Dremel tool, and I'm gonna go from the back side like that and cut it. And I have my vacuum cleaner. I'm gonna have the hose nearby, so any of the plastic dust that comes off, I'll be able to vacuum it up so it don't make a complete mess. But we have to trim here and we have to trim there, and that will give us the clearance for the head unit to fit in there all the way. It's in the instructions, I just forgot that step. So let's go ahead and take care of that, and we'll be mounting it up and we'll be ready to go because all the wiring and everything is all connected and ready to go. So it's the last step in order to mount it, and we'll be checking out the features of it. Alright guys, so it's a new day. I was having some issues with the sound on this head unit, and I went back to my house, started doing some research, and I think I have a game plan in order to fix it. Turns out there's a problem with these head units not triggering the factory amp. So I'm gonna go ahead and try what was suggested in one of the forum comments, and we'll see if it works. And if it does, I'll show you exactly what I had to do in order to make it work on this chassis. So give me a second, let me do what I gotta do, and I'll get back to you. Alright guys, so I tried what was suggested on the forum and it actually works. Go figure. This has the HK factory stereo system inside of it, and it has that HK amplifier in the back, and the amplifier has to be triggered in order for all the speakers to come on. And with this sub harness alone, it will not trigger the amp. You have to plug in this amplifier sub harness right here. This one, it plugs down right here, right there, and it has an amp connector that's labeled amp CON, and then this sub harness that connects to the factory radio harness has an antenna wire. So the antenna wire has to connect to the blue wire on the amp sub harness that's labeled amp connector. You plug those two in and it actually works. So oh, well, hold on.
Space side rolls foul. And the count 0-1. Sam Levitt with you on the Soft Poodles Radio
baseball
Network
game going on,
as we bring you today's game.
It works. It's great. That's the problem with these head units. They don't put that in the instructions. So if you do have a setup like mine, you are definitely going to have to connect the amp sub harness and connect the amp connector on that sub harness to the antenna connector wire on the sub harness that goes to the radio connector. So I'm glad I figured that out. I can't tell you guys, I spent all day yesterday trying to figure out the problem, and that ended up being the case. I'm glad I found it. I want to share this with y'all so y'all don't have to go through the headache that I went through. So let me clean all this up. I'm going to put it back into the dash, put the trim on it, and we'll go through some features. Alright, so I want to point something out real quick. This factory head unit has the screen that extends over where the trim piece goes. Now that can be a pain in the butt installing this trim piece on. Now you can pull the vent out, but like I stated earlier, you know, the plastic becomes pretty brittle over time, and pulling it in and out can cause things like that to happen. So to prevent this from happening and allowing me to install this trim piece without having to pull the vents out every time, what I did was I took my Dremel tool and I trimmed the back side of it. Now you have these little pegs on the head unit right here and here, and what that does is it clips into these little side brackets right here, and that secures it in place. All there was right here was just a little locking tab that would lock up underneath the vent, and with these mounting pegs right here that go into these mounts and these right there, it's more than enough to secure this piece in place. It's overkill, I think, anyway with that, so I had no problem trimming that. Wasn't worried about it, and that will allow me to install it a lot easier. And that's a tip from me to you guys. You know, you can go about it how you want to do it. If you want to pull the vent out every time, then go ahead. If not, then just go ahead and do what I did, and it'll save you time in the long run. Alright, so I got the dash trim and everything installed, and I really like the way that this head unit modernizes the dash. Looks very good indeed. But I'm going to turn out the light now and go through some of the features on this head unit. And I also was able to change the boot logo to the BMW logo, and I'll show you guys first how to do that. So we'll turn it on. There's the BMW logo. It's going to go through this little boot sequence, and I did test out the controls on the steering wheel. They work just fine, so it really adds to the touch of it all, makes it feel like it's factory. So it's booting up right now, and it's going to go to its home screen. There's its home screen, and on the home screen you have your nav, your radio, your Bluetooth, music if you want to download files into that, and it's going to go to the stereo right now, which is right there. And on the stereo, you know, this is your seek. It'll seek to the next station, seek to the next station. But basically, once you find the station that you like, You can save it by holding down the icon, and it will save your station to the icon. So I already did that, but we'll go back to the home page real quick, and I want to show you guys first and foremost how to get the boot logo to change. So you scroll down right there, you go to settings, you're gonna go to car infotainment. I had to read that real quick. Car infotainment. You go to that screen, and then you're going to go to common, and then on common you're going to go to boot logo. Now this I had to search for. It's universal on all these head units. It's 5678. Okay, and that brings you into the car logos. It has all the manufacturers pretty much, and basically you scroll down till you find the one you need, which ours is the BMW. You hit that, it asks you if you want to update. Yes, update success. Now to get this to register, you would have to turn the key off, wait a few minutes, turn it back on, and then it would set it. Since we already did that, not worried about it. So basically we were in the radio, I showed you guys. You hit the home to go back to the main screen. Apps. Just like any smartphone, it has your apps loaded on that. Now I have my cell phone hotspotting, so we have connectivity to the internet. You can go to, you know, things like Netflix, which I already loaded my account. There you go. So basically I'm just gonna go through a couple of the little things real quick. I haven't gone through everything, but just to show you guys a little bit. Like YouTube, I'm gonna go to YouTube, hit YouTube, go to my channel. There's my channel. Go to the last episode I had. It's loading, and I'll let you guys hear the sound of it real quick. Let it skip. All right. It's loading my video. So I'll turn the volume up with the steering wheel. The stereo system that's in this car, it sounds really good. Nice surround sound with it. Seems to work very well with this car. So you also have your icons on the side right here so you don't have to use the touch screen all the time. You have them like on a cell phone, you have them right there. So basically you got that, and you know, if you wanted to do your settings, is right here as well. And if you wanted to add any apps, you go to the Play Store like anything else. So pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. And if you want to do like Google Maps, there's Google Maps. You know, it's basically got everything you need. Now the Google Maps works off your GPS antenna, so you're not using it off the phone you're hotspotting from. It's its own unit. And all in all, I'm very pleased with the head unit itself. And you know, it gave me a little bit of a problem getting it connected to trigger the amp, but do what I did and you will not have a problem at all with that. So that's pretty much it on this episode, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed it. So if you did like the episode, give me a thumbs up, and if you're here for the first time, definitely subscribe. With that being said, I'm all done on this one. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. See you guys on the next one. Later.